Perfect. I'm going to go get Kevin. Hang on. Hey, Kev.
Let's see if a meeting would not be complete without the town crier.
Sorry, he's running late. He'll be right here.
All right. Off the camera here.
Oyez, 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 all persons having business before this August body, unmute yourselves. You will be heard. The Honorable Jay Donaway presiding. All rise.
All rise.
All set. Mr. President, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Kevin. And thank you, Grace,
71%.
What's the percent? Well, thank you for Grace getting things started. I made it in the nick of time, and I feared I may not even be that close. So I don't know if it's the weather speaking or what, but I would hope we entertain some motions to have a hybrid meeting next month with an in-person presence at the church and those online who want to stay so. I see you being a seal, Mr. Hughes. Thank you. I believe Mr. Bakke concurs as well. Welcome back to the country. And lots of news, especially legislatively, with clean cars passing 2 houses of the legislature and on its way to reconciliation. I don't believe that vote has happened yet. It was expected this week. And at least Matthew Metz was optimistic that the House would accept the Senate version as passed without a whole lot of monkeying. We have also Jeff Finn to give an update this evening on Plug-in America's EV equity project that's going to be piloted in Seattle. And hopefully he can share a 2-minute video along with that. And I'll add a little update on goings on at EV Works. I don't see him yet, but I'll go ahead and let the cat out of the bag that none other than the pilot of the Death Bike, our own Scotty Vandevort, who has been coming to probably since he was 12 years old to SEVA, or at least it seems like it, has just been hired by EV Works. He'll be joining us part-time to start off with as he's in his final semester of college. So that's an exciting bit of news. And Grace has been so dutiful in sending out her legislative updates. Shall we start with that, Grace?
Yes, thank you, Jay. You bet.
Right.
Yeah, the first thing we probably want to talk about is the it's the bill that's 1287, House Bill 1287, and that's the one that now includes the Clean Cars 2030 provisions. So it rolled into one. And that did pass both houses, but it's not been sent to the governor yet because the Senate made some substantial changes in it, including adding the Clean Cars 2030 provisions. But also the Senate Transportation Committee, actually just Senator Hobbs, did add an amendment saying that none of the provisions would take effect until at least 75% of all the cars on the road in Washington, registered in Washington, are paying the road usage charge. So in order for this to take effect, we actually have to get that road usage charge through too. Now, I know there's been a lot of discussion about it on the group, about the different provisions and what would work and what's not so good. And there's definitely some disagreement about that. But I think most of us do agree with the concept of the road usage charge being more fair than what electric vehicles are paying right now. As somebody was pointing out just today online, paying the road usage charge now is like an average gas car driving 16,000 miles a year. And the majority of electric car owners do not drive nearly that much, although some people who really love their new EVs tend to drive them a lot. But still, it means that we're paying more than our fair share. And so we do want something that is more fair. So I've been trying to get updates on where we are with that road usage charge, which was last known as Senate Bill 5444. co-sponsored by Senator Saldana. I contacted her office today to find out what the status is. Her aide was really not familiar with it very much. I think I knew more about it than she did. But she said, as far as she knows, it's dead for this session because it didn't get out of the Senate. But that may not be the case, because I read elsewhere, somebody from the Washington Policy Center was saying, well, it has now just been added to the Senate's omnibus transportation bill. And because that is a budget bill, that is still under consideration. You know, the rest of the bills that didn't have to deal with a budget, that didn't get through the House of Origin, are dead now. So they're not going anywhere. But because this is a budget issue, definitely it affects the budget, then it does still have a chance to go somewhere this year. Oh, Jeff, good. Maybe you can tell a little bit more about what you know. It's possible that that might be part of the transportation budget that we could see being debated in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
The road usage charge. Yeah.
I've been watching the legislators for years, and if it's a fiscal bill, the transportation budget is its own animal, and it's possible that Senator Hobbs might, he really would have sponsored the bill had he not been chair of the Senate Transportation Committee. Saldana is a vice chair of the committee. But anyway, he might use that as a bargaining chip during the transportation budget negotiations, and the bill could end up in the transportation budget, 5444, the provisions of it. It could be added at the last moment. I've heard that the governor wasn't in favor of it being introduced this year, but that last minute area of the legislative session is one of my former representatives used to call it the silly season. You just never know what's going to happen during then. So yeah, it kind of have to wait. That's the transportation bill or budget is usually one of the very last things that gets passed, and just before the general fund budget. So you kind of wait and see what's going to happen. So.
Yeah, and we do have not much time. The session's over at the end of next week, but if they don't, in fact, agree on a budget compromise at that point, then the governor can call a special session after that. So, but now would be a really good time to make our concerns about the road usage charge really well known, so that in case there are any amendments to be made, that we can make sure our input is included with that. So I would really kind of like to hear what the major concerns are at this point, knowing that, yes, we do want to see it passed, particularly so we can actually have the Clean Cars 2030 bill go somewhere, since we're going to need it with that amendment that was added.
Rate is too high.
It's too high. Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't be the case, except for extremely high mileage users, like say someone commuting to Bainbridge Island from South King County, for example, to pay more with the RUC than we do with the Haugen penalty tax.
That's Pierce County. Thank you very much.
That would be my question, is how do we not double pay? Right now we're paying $225 with two different fees. Are they taking one fee away? I haven't heard that or seen that anywhere. So it makes sense for us to go to the road usage tax. One, didn't we determine that they haven't found an automated way for everyone to upload? And you know, that automation seems to make it more logical. If it's still manual, that seems like an odd thing to do. But yeah, will they take one of the two fees away 150 or the 75, because they shouldn't be having us pay it twice, right?
Both of those fees were going to go away in the last version of 5444. One of them was
Okay.
going to be for everybody. The other, the $75 fee would go away if you signed up a year early to participate in the early adopter. But again, don't know what any of those are, or how much of the provisions are going to make it in if they put it in the transportation budget. So it's pretty much out of our hands. The thing that is in our hands is that I've been following this on SEVA's behalf since 2013 and attending all the meetings and the offering suggestions about the road usage charge from the consumer point of view and EV drivers' point of view. And the executive director of the Transportation Commission would actually got in touch with me to alert me that this bill was going to be dropped. So SEVA has an entry into the next 2 years of planning, which is one of the provisions of the bill for the implementation. And we will be able to get concerns expressed directly to the Transportation Commission, I think, via the executive director. Rima Griffiths has been there for years. I expect her to be there for more years. And that for some reason, she thinks that I'm a good representative of the group. So,
Well, and Jeff, I believe that it says it won't be implemented till 2026. So we basically have about 5 years to plan for how it's going to be implemented. And hopefully we'll have a lot of input on that. I know one of the other things I've heard from some of our members is that per mile fee should be weighted, and that it should have credit for how efficient your vehicle is or how much your vehicle weighs, which those things contribute to how much wear you're putting on the roads as well. And people would even like to see credit for the utility taxes that you pay too, because you're already paying taxes for that electricity. It's just not going to roads right now. So how can you get credit for what you're already paying?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the basic concept of the road usage fee is that you're paying for the maintenance and of your highway system so you can drive on it, and that any vehicle that weighs 10,000 pounds or less has the same effect of wear and tear on the system. And Rima has gotten an earful from me that, that whatever basic charge that per mile is, that should be the same for any 10,000 pound vehicle or less. And there should be credits given for vehicles that advance the goals of the state. For example, having private citizens put billions of dollars invested of their private money to invest in these air cleaning machines that we're driving around, that the state doesn't have to do, put their money. So the concept, they definitely, and Rima has a lot to do with this, is there that people who drive efficient vehicles or otherwise contribute to other policies should get credit for that. And that the vehicles that, and this is a harder sell because it's negative, that inefficient vehicles should be penalized. So,
Yeah, I'm just not sure that I think that the new electric Hummer should be paying the same rate as, say, Ed's Arcimoto. They
well,
have
except
different impacts on
it
the road.
has the same effect on road usage.
Is that proven?
It's the environmental
No.
Department of the Environment that, yes, it has the same effect. The roads are built for 10,000-pound vehicles and above.
I will begrudgingly agree with Jeff on that point, that I see congestion as a bigger issue and would like to see
Yeah,
it differentiated based upon where and when you drive.
and that could be part of the system that the Transportation Commission recommends. I'm just saying that if you drive a mile on the highway, it costs the state the same amount, and this maintenance of it costs for the transportation silo bucket.
Yes,
know,
I see
and
that,
that's what,
but at the same time, when you're comparing this with gas tax, and that's, that's
well, that's
replacing gas
it
tax.
should be equitable with the gas tax.
But at the same time, people who drive less efficient vehicles pay more in gas tax. People who
And-
drive very efficient vehicles pay
Yeah.
less.
We're not going to resolve this tonight.
Could we extend that to electric vehicles?
Right.
Good point. Right.
Yeah, no, I agree with Grace on that.
And I agree with you, Grace, on that.
Mhm.
I'm just saying that
Yeah.
I'm just saying that it's a different bucket of money that needs to pay for that. And with the passage of is it the clean fuels, or one of them that raises money,
Mhm.
that's the one that I think we should be lobbying to pay for the credit for EVs. I can't tell you how tightly the transportation budget wants to hold on to its revenue. And it also has obligations to pay the bondholders for the money we've borrowed. Anyway, some legal ramifications. So whatever that per mile fee is, they know that it should be equal to what the typical driver would pay in a gas tax on a per mile basis.
And that was obviously a big motivating factor for Senator Hobbs when he graciously gave us some of his time this month. He didn't want to see prices on the average consumer raised, and he didn't want transportation to be taxed for somebody else's line items in the budget. He wanted it to all go to transportation.
Yeah, the preservation of this is my pot of money is really big down in Olympia, and this is not your money, So it'll be something that we'll get to put our input in, and I think we'll have some success over the next 2 years. So.
All right. Well, since Jeff's voice is so soothing, would you like to go into your presentation on the Plug in America
Sure.
EV Equity Initiative?
Yeah, so in 2019, we started an EV equity pilot. COVID-19 forced a pause in our efforts during 2020, like it paused everybody's life. And it's now resuming where we left off, and with a kind of a marketing effort to the disadvantaged communities in the Seattle area. And Plug in America has partnered with Seattle's Express Credit Union, which is a community development financial institution that's a U.S. Treasury Department designation for these qualified credit unions who have decided that they want to be mission driven as opposed to profit driven. And the pilot's goal is to assist members in disadvantaged communities in acquiring EVs. The idea came from a study that I read after reading the press, which referenced this study that said EVs are for rich people and too bad for the poor people. And it turns out, if you read the actual study, it wasn't about that. What it pointed out was that disadvantaged people in disadvantaged communities were paying up to $650 a month to keep their junkers running to get to work because they were not credit worthy to buy a decent automobile or vehicle for their transportation. And the study said there needs to be, in their case, they were talking about a government organization to assist these people in disadvantaged communities to be credit worthy. And that's what Seattle Credit Union's mission is, essentially. And so we, Plug in America, got together with them and told them about electric vehicles. We put some of our operating reserve on deposit with them to, what's the word, as a carrot for them to initiate a program. And so can somebody let me share my screen with you? Billy or Grace?
Working on it.
Thank you, Billy. Jeff, it's a super hot issue within the industry right now, and I think there's good and bad ways to go about it. I got sideways with a couple of advocates when I said it would be a disservice to give a 2011 Nissan Leaf to a single mother with kids.
Yeah, our goal is to teach people to fish, not to give them the fish.
Yes.
Okay, can people see my screen now?
I can.
Okay, so here's the kickoff video that explains this in a nutshell.
Express Credit Union's mission is to provide accessible and affordable financial services to all Washington State residents. Many people are pushed out of mainstream financial services because of their income level, their credit, their immigration status, or just mistrust.
I had some bad experiences with commercial banks, so I decided that I needed to find something better that would serve me better. I've lived the experience of being homeless, lived the experience of not having a job, lived all of it. This is where I am, and this is because I started trusting people and trusting the credit union and how to make my world work.
Yo soy originario del Estado de México. Por muchos años estuve en el proceso de pescado y ahora me moví a la construcción.
Just something as simple as a checking or a savings account or an auto loan can make such a huge difference in someone's life.
Traté directamente con Express Credit Union y fue una cosa muy fácil. Y ahora ya saqué un tercer préstamo con ellos para comprar un auto eléctrico.
Express Credit Union and Plug in America have partnered to offer the electric vehicle loan. The interest rate on the electric vehicle loans are 0.5% lower than traditional auto loan rates. So you're not only saving money on maintenance and gas, but you're also saving money on your auto loan payment as well.
Para esto de mi trabajo yo me estaba gastando por lo regular $350 quincenales, a veces más. Si salía a pasear con mi familia, claro que era mucho más. Y ahorita con el Tesla estoy gastando, no sé, unos $100 por quincena, tal vez menos.
It's these kinds of products and services that the community needs: accessibility and affordability. Getting an electric vehicle loan with Express Credit Union not only saves you money, but it supports the communities that we serve. It's more than just a loan. You're supporting Express Credit Union and the mission that we serve.
I only have one bank account, and that's with them at Express Credit Union. I really can't thank them enough for being who they are. I love the credit union. I love them. I do. I love them. They're great.
Jeff, is it for used and new cars?
Okay, and they had a 3.24 rate, and actually it's currently, it looks like 2.49 rate on the, and this is kind of their web page at expresscu.org, and you click on the borrow, and they'll get you to this EV loan page. And so I don't know if you noticed or it went by really quickly, but Eduardo said, or the translation was, he was paying $350 every 2 weeks for his old vehicle. And now he says he's only paying $100 every 2 weeks for his old vehicle. So that he's kind of netting $500 in his pocket to go towards his family needs at this point. The kind of the details of the loan, one of the things is that the maximum loan at the moment is $30,000 for an EV loan. And that's because we're targeting disadvantaged communities, and the banking laws won't let us, they prohibit income discrimination. So we didn't want to be making loans on $100,000 cars because that's probably not our target. The EV loan is 0.5% below the rate that they would charge whatever you qualified for a gas car loan. So as EV advocates, I want to put a plug in here. It seems to me that SEVA members should consider taking any or all of these 6 steps. 1, check out ECU for your own EV loan if you need one. Make ECU your bank, or the tracking credit card, etc. 3, deposit a portion of your savings at ECU as an impact deposit, as my wife and I did, to help them carry out this program. And it is NCUA insured. That's the equivalent of FDIC. I think it's $250,000 if we have that much. They'll be happy to take it on deposit. The interest rate isn't all that great, but anything you want to put on deposit would be helpful. Tell others about this ECU program. And I want to know about, if you do work with ECU, I want to know about your experience, because that's part of the pilot. We're trying to work the bugs out. And also in development at the moment, part of our support is providing an EV shopping mentor for ECU members who have qualified for a loan and are looking for a car. And this, you could volunteer to help us do that. It's in development at the moment because we haven't made all that many loans, and so that's something else that we could do. So that's my pitch. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Jeff. You've been working this project with the credit union for like almost
2 years.
4 years now?
No, 2.
Only 2. Seems like forever, but a good thing.
Well, it does, but that's what COVID did.
Do you know if they do commercial lines? We're looking at a fleet purchase of 10 to 20 vehicles for a low-income car share program.
I don't know. I'll give you an intro to their business development person, and she'll be able to answer that question.
Very good. It's a double-edged sword. I get at least 3 inquiries per day from people who have noticed how cheap a first-generation Leaf is right now and are thinking they can buy a cheap Leaf and upgrade the battery and then have a great car. Well, if they upgrade the battery, they'll have a great car, but it's not economical by any stretch of the imagination. We're at 10 to 12,000 to install a 40 kilowatt hour in a first generation Leaf. So
we're trying to make this program in a way that people who in the disadvantaged communities would not feel disrespected and be forced into buying something less than what you and I would buy if we walked into a dealer or a used car EV lot. So
yeah.
So we aren't particularly pushing that kind of scenario.
Good. And I'm familiar with the used car world. In a past life, I had a detailed interview with a large low-income landlord who also owned a number of used car dealerships. And he said, it's not the price of the car, it's the payment. I don't care if I repo the thing 4 times a year. It makes money.
Yeah, the first thing that a car dealer or a salesperson asks you is, how much can you pay per month? You know, yep. It's not what do you need as a car for your transportation. And so, you know, and typically they're more interested in the financing. And what we're trying to provide is a reasonable loan and the wraparound services to help you learn how to manage your finances.
Right.
Well,
go ahead.
Whether the 0.5% discount, is that just to sort of out of the goodness of your heart / to promote EVs, or is there evidence that EVs actually, like, because they have lower costs and something and stuff, they result in lower defaults, and so you end up with like the bank actually doesn't lose any money by giving 0.5% off?
I didn't quite hear the very last part of that.
Does the bank actually lose any money by giving the 0.5% off, or do they end up with sort of the same overall cost because EVs are better risks?
That's why we're doing a pilot, to find out answers to those kinds of questions. What was I going to?
I gave my credit union a real hard time when EVs were not eligible for the 0.5-point discount that they were applying to hybrids. But it was borne out smart on their part that EVs actually had a higher depreciation rate. So it is a brave thing that Evergreen Credit Union is doing.
I'd be interested in the volunteering if, yeah, I'll put my name on that list.
Cool. Jeff, while you're on, any news on Washington's oldest electric vehicle?
No.
Okay, there you have it. Teresa has some Tesla news, I believe.
Oh, I do have, please accept this correction. It's Washington's first automobile.
I would also be correct. It's Washington's oldest electric vehicle.
Well, that too, but it's the very first automobile in Washington State. So stay tuned.
And for those of you who don't know what we refer to, that vehicle exists and is in the Washington State History Museum, but they have deemed it unsuitable for public display. We're trying to get it into the public's eyes. Miss Ramsdell, you're up next.
Hello.
What happens in the Tesla world?
Yes, well, anybody who has had a reservation on a solar roof got a huge slap in the face recently. So So I guess because all of the solar roof prices have gone up on an average of 22 to 46% increase on your roof. So that's coming, and it's like, and you can either accept it or deny it and cancel your order. So yeah, so it's like, yes, because mine went up 22% and Jay Turney's went up 46%. So yes, and so yeah, so we're a little mad. We're a little mad about all that.
No
So
reason.
we're not hearing the news a couple months ago that was going down in price.
I know, exactly. And it's like, yes, and our quotes have gone down when we had our quote. Well, when I had my quote done back in February, it had gone down about 12% from a year before, but increased the amount of kilowatts I was getting in my system. Yes, and then just today, I got the new quote saying, nope, now we've increased you now 22%. So.
What was the explanation for why the rates are going up?
Because the change, they've added a new factor in the complexity of your roof, which wasn't there 2 months ago when I got my original quote.
Who's they?
And and I've actually had Tesla on my roof twice to do my site assessment. So they know what my roof complexity looks like.
So what are these extra features? Do you know?
Nope, that's still the same.
Okay.
And it's like, and on some of the roof structures, if you've got rounded edges and that kind of stuff, they're doing a metal tile that looks like the glass tiles. So you're not even getting a glass tile on some of your roof.
Well, that's disappointing.
It is disappointing. Some people say you can't tell the difference between the metal tiles as opposed to the solar tiles, but I haven't seen what any of them look like yet, so I don't know for sure. So that's been a bit of a slap in the face from Tesla for solar roof tiles. So it is what it is, I guess. And people are trying to fight it and say, well, they haven't started your project anyway, so you don't really have any recourses for damages. So yeah, so that's funness. So, but on a brighter note, we do finally have some in-person events going now. The 24th, we're going to do another Tesla and the Tulips rally in memory of Paul Ingram, who was the guy who originally started them 3 years ago, who passed away last year from cancer. So yes, we're going to kind of do a little memorial drive for him up there on the 24th of this month. And then in Blaine, we'll have a supercharger chat where we will be covering 3 time zones virtually between Florida, here in Hawaii. They'll be doing a virtual meetup between all of us to show you exactly just how far spread the clubs are just in the United States. So yep. So those are the real fun things we've got coming up at the moment to counteract the solar roof debacle.
So I'm trying to get a visual on that. You're up there supercharging, and then you're looking on your monitor, and it's a Zoom meeting with all these other people supercharging. Is that what you're talking about?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, we'll do it. I know exactly. It'd be nice if we could actually do it from the computers we have in our car, but we have to do it from an outside computer.
Oh, not on the screen in your car. Okay.
No, we can't do them on the screens, unfortunately.
Okay, all right.
Because we can't see video.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, we could probably see them, but they just can't see us, vice versa, kind of a thing, unless we have our phones with us.
I see.
So yeah. So that's going to be interesting. We're going to try and do a 4 corners one too, and pull in the northeast, the most northeast supercharger as well, and the far southwest one for San Diego. So we're still trying to coordinate the other 2 corners and try and get everybody in there. And since we don't have an Alaska club yet, we cannot include Alaska yet, even though I'm trying to work with the guys up there to get them official. So we're getting there.
Yeah, I mean,
what was that?
Sounds like we lost Andrea.
Yep, she was there and then she's gone.
So Teresa, I did hear a rumor that Tesla might be considering adding video conferencing capability to the cars. not while you're driving, of course, but while you're
Right.
parked. Because the new cars come with the interior camera.
Right. Yep. Exactly. I know.
Possibility sometime in the future.
I know, because I heard that it's typically only going to do Europe for that because they had the whole thing about the whole TikTok or whatever that you can do from your inside your car. So, or it was like Australia or something, but who knows? If Tesla changes it all the time, so you just never know what's going to happen.
Well, you'll keep us updated. I hope that'd be great.
Will do. Will do.
Yeah, though Australia is famous for the Road Warrior, there's more in the US, and a lot of us have rolling offices, so that might finally tip me over the edge to Tesla.
Hopefully we will. Hopefully we'll get you in there somewhere.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Teresa, this is Andrea. I was just going to say that Alaska EV Association, which is the Alaska version of SEVA, is mostly Tesla members, but they're also representing other EV drivers because there's only a few. I mean, there's a bunch of Leaf drivers, but they don't seem to be as advocates. So
yep.
I would like to just keep it AK EV Association so I can still be involved, because the Tesla guys go off and do their own thing. We're just, we're building the first DC fast chargers are just going in up there now. So
yep, exactly. Well, and Tesla is going to put the first supercharger up there too. And I can picture the name, but I can't say it right now. It starts with an S. Yeah.
Soldotna. Yeah.
Yep.
That's where I went to camp. Yeah. No, it'll be exciting. That's one utility who's willing to deal with demand charges. They all are not co-ops. They're all ratepayer based. And they all have demand charges pretty extreme. So the DC fast charging thing is scaring people, but we'll see.
Yeah, because most of the Tesla guys that I'm talking to up there are a member of the Alaska EV group too.
Yeah, Dimitri and Mark and Devin. And
Yep,
actually,
exactly.
Grace knows Devin too, Devin and Juno. He's a Leaf driver. And he's actually putting in, he already has 2 DC fast chargers in Juno. But there are going to be more that go into the Anchorage area because we have Volkswagen settlement money. There's about almost $1 million of Volkswagen settlement money that's just now starting to be invested.
Yep.
Between Andrea and Teresa, how close is the Alcan Highway to being electrified?
Well, Canada's doing great because the Yukon has it. There's 4, and BC's done really well. So all of the Canadian provinces are strong. As far as getting it to Haines, the Volkswagen money needs to go on what they call the rail belt, which is Anchorage to Fairbanks or Homer to Fairbanks. So it doesn't include that section. So it will happen. It'll probably just be level 2, and people will just be doing long drives and sitting for a long time and sleeping in their cars. Because the Alcans, it's still quite a drive. It's not like it's a quick drive for anyone right now. But yeah, I mean, it will still be slow, but as far as DC fast charging, it'll be time. Most of the towns that are trying to put in quote unquote DC fast charging or supercharging, it's more for a DC fast charger at Fred Meyer's uses more kilowatt than these guys do in a year. And honestly, they're on natural gas, and it's, and they convert it to electricity. And so it's just a huge barrier for the utilities, and they're ready for it. They know they need to do it. They're putting in tons of wind. They're putting in turbine, river turbine, and they're putting in lots of solar. There's a lot of community solar and different solar programs going on. But to get that level, they really just need to be, working on all those transformers. So it will happen. It's just, they've waited until the last minute. Now they have to do it. So it's going to hit some of these cities harder than others. And especially, some cities are still on dirty diesel because they've just always been on diesel. Someone flies in diesel so they can use it to heat the village. I mean, I don't know if, anyone who hasn't been up there, it's really rustic. It's like, there's barely any rural area in Washington that's as rural as many of these Alaskan, villages or towns. So it's different, but Soldotna's fine. There's a lot of cities that are ready to go. And there'll be a lot of, level 2 charging still, what they're doing now. Dimitri will drive to Homer and he'll sleep in the car for 3 hours, and then he'll, go to the next town. So they've been doing it for 3 or 4 years. I think the first Model S was like 4 years ago, something like that. So it's been a journey.
Wow.
It's a journey. Thank you, Andrea.
Problem's exciting.
It is exciting.
Grace, did you have some news on Seattle City Light charging?
Yeah, as long as we're talking about charging, I wanted to give a little update from a meeting that I was in last Friday. Because as you know, Seattle City Light has this project to install 20 DC fast charge stations around the city. And they've done 6 so far in the past 2 years, 3 years. It's going very slowly. So I was in a meeting to hear a new proposal from City Light for putting in one of those charging stations. And they proposed doing it at Jimi Hendrix Park, which is a few blocks from my house in Seattle. And I've actually been working with the Jimi Hendrix Park Committee to build that park and activate it for the past 10 years. It's pretty exciting little space now.
All right.
Yeah, it's terrific because it's in the Central District. It's located, if you know where I-90 goes through the Mount Baker Tunnel. The old Coleman School, the old Big Brook School sits right above that tunnel, and the park is right behind it. That's now the site of the African American Museum in that building, and so Jimi Hendrix Park right next door is a really good synergy. But folks at City Light, it's a guy named Jacob, and let's see if I can find his last name. It's Jacob.
Orenberg.
Yeah. Oh, it's Orenberg. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's the one who's working on it. And so he thought it, and other folks there apparently thought it would be really good synergy to have electric vehicle charging stations in the park named for the best electric guitarist in the world. And they foresee, maybe doing some kind of things that work there. I foresee doing electric vehicle shows there. I think that would be a great location to do it. They are looking at putting in a DC fast charger with both a CHAdeMO and CCS plugs, just like their other chargers. And I also asked if they'd be interested in putting in a level 2 there as well, particularly because the top 2 floors of that building are now residential. And of course, for those people living in a building like that, there's no place to charge an electric car. Because the light rail station is going right across the street. There's going to be a lot more high density housing going up in that area too. Plus the fact that Southeast Seattle is pretty much a charging desert. There's only one fast charge station in the whole southeast part of the city. So this would really help serve a growing need in the area. Pretty excited about that. And I hope that the park folks are really supportive too, but I hope that our group might want to be supportive and tell City Light, yes, that's something we should do. Let's move forward with it. Their timeline is not very soon, though. They're looking at half a year of permitting and maybe breaking ground by December. So it's going to be a while before anything happens there. But I took the opportunity to ask them about some of the other charters that they're looking at putting in. Particularly because City Light's coverage area extends well beyond the city limits. I asked about the one they were planning to put in Burien, also kind of a desert for fast chargers in the south part of King County. They did have a public hearing about that more than 2 years ago, and then nothing happened. And they said, oh yeah, the virus kind of put everything on hold for a long time, and then they had permitting problems, but it's finally getting going, and they're looking at maybe breaking ground in June. So having another fast charger go in the south part of the county would be a very nice thing for hopefully sometime this summer. But that's just the updates I got from them, and we hopefully can keep pushing them to move that direction.
Sounds like more excuses than progress. What can we do to push them?
Yeah, well...
Yeah, they take time. We have Angela's song in there now, so I think we're good. I will say that also they have a site that hit the local Ballard, papers of a 6-site supercharger site for City Light. They actually have a surplus property. I think it's near where there's a PO box. Anyway, it's near kind of Fred Meyer's Ballard, that Market Street area. And so they're planning on putting 6 in there. So I haven't heard the technical analysis, and I didn't make it to the meeting, but I know that that's a big, thing for Lyft and Uber drivers, is to have a whole bunch of DC fast chargers in the same location. So, and I think it would also be with level 2 as well, though there's not as much residential in that specific area. But yeah, it's interesting. I think it's the first time we're talking about having, more than 2 DC fast chargers together in Seattle. So that's exciting. Pretend that we're superchargers. So yeah, that's City Light as well.
Andrea, while you're on, do you have any insight on the fate of the Webasto slash
Yeah,
AeroVironment
not,
DC
not,
fast?
not in Washington State. I know in Oregon they're replacing all those Webasto air environments. But yeah, that's a follow-up we need to have with Tanya, who doesn't like to give out information unless she's checked with her boss. So there's definitely money within her budget to be doing some of those. I think that we just need to get, and there was someone on that, listserv, just someone to continue to follow up. So I can reach out to her and see if she'll say anything. She has her ZEIP, the next $2 million is coming soon, coming available soon. It's just someone would have to really, do the program management, because they don't do that. They leave it to someone else to do it. So, I mean, we just need to bring in someone, because, we have to bring in someone doing that role, because there's a lot of collaboration and match that's required to make it work. The I-5 corridor was EVgo and Fourth, and there was a lot of match in there. And then, the I-90 was Energy Northwest with Jenny Harper's group, and they put in quite a bit of match too. So either of those sites, I mean, I think it's just, it's just a project that someone has to put a lot of time into, but they're, like I said, that project should be